There we go. And I'm going to say just a couple of things. Welcome everybody. Like I said, I'm Marilyn tonight. Just to let you know, there's really there's a lot going on in December, and the calendar is on the web under the Sterling Friends page. But just so you know, on the 9th, Cinema Paradiso in downtown Hollywood, we're doing Merrily We Roll Along. That's at 2 p.m. On the 14th, the Historic Society, the Hollywood Historic Society, is going to be doing Hollywood Stories. And that might be really pretty interesting. They've been spending a lot of time trying to get oral history about this area. Mr. Shelley will be back with us on the 18th, which I've already heard a fantastic movie that we will all absolutely love, and we will be so glad to see that. And then don't forget, yeah, I have already heard about this, Shelley. And then don't forget that the library itself will be closed on the 25th. Other than that, everything else that normally goes on at the library will be going on. So without further ado, Shelley, take it away. This was a very different kind of movie. It'll be interesting to see what you have to say. And don't forget, you guys, to mute yourselves.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Jackie. Welcome back. I hope you all had a nice Thanksgiving. It's good to be back with you. And tonight's film that you've seen is All We Imagine Is Light. All We Imagine Is Light. It is a very recent film. It's from the last year. It's from 2024. It was produced by funds from India, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, and Italy. This is a film that picked up momentum as it went along. It is a debut feature, as a matter of fact, by a young Indian director. Her name is Payal Kapadia. And since its premiere at the Cannes International Film Festival, it has already been celebrated by critics and audiences as a major work of contemporary world cinema. Payal Kapadia, she previously directed documentaries, and she's an artist whose work moves with remarkable grace between a documentary realism and a lyrical, almost dreamlike poetry, as you've seen. Her earlier film before this was called A Night of Knowing Nothing, and it established her as a vital, politically engaged voice in India. With this feature, Kapadia made history, becoming this became the first Indian film in 30 years selected for the main competition at the Cannes Film Festival, where it was also awarded the grand prize, deservedly so. While many films portray Mumbai as a city of Bollywood spectacle or overwhelming chaos, Kapadia offers a quiet observational experience, using the city's muted light and humid atmosphere to reflect the internal lives of its working class migrants. Her discussions at many of the screenings around the world have ranged from the inspiration she drew from her grandmother to her experience making a film that pushes back against the patriarchal norms of mainstream Indian cinema. And we'll get into that along the way. The film centers on three women, two nurses, Prabha and Anu, who navigate life in a shared cramped apartment, as we've seen. They also develop a relationship with Parvati, who also works at the hospital. Through their experience, the story explored moments of intimacy and solidarity, their resistance against societal constraints amidst the profound loneliness of the urban experience. Kapadia is highly regarded for her ability to convey deep emotion and social commentary through subtle visual language, through a character's gaze, as you saw, the quality of light in the film, or the placement of an ordinary object, and I hope you look closely at how she uses these things within the film. It's a profound and beautifully crafted piece with a nod to realism, but with a touch of the mystical. It's a work that rewards patience. It should reward your patience, and I hope it did, and invites deep reflection on the nature of hope, belonging, and the quiet dignity of women's lives. While the film can be complex, I'm sure there are complexities that you found with it, its emotions are universal, making it the kind of film we can discuss and appreciate, and I hope you will jump into it. The film's opening sequence is, to me, a masterclass in sound design. It overlays the shots of nighttime Mumbai with the crackle of static. We hear spoken testimony by people who live there, real migrants in various languages. We hear Malayalam, Hindi, Marathi, various languages coming at us, even though they're translated. And this use of what she calls found sounds, whistles, vendors screaming, mobile phone music is crucial, linking the fictional narrative to the social reality of the city. The social reality of the city. We also see how these women, although they have moved far from their village, they remain beholden to their families' rigidly traditional expectations of how a woman should behave. And in Mumbai, a city of dreams, and we hear that expression, Mumbai, a city of dreams, where their unfulfilled desires lurk just below the surface. They find it hard to distinguish their dreams from illusion, Anu, who's the young one, sweet, open, and gregarious, is a Hindu who must conduct her romance with Shiaz, a Muslim, in secrecy. In a sequence that's both sad and funny, as you've seen, as well as politically pointed, when she goes to be with him, when you see her walking through that portion of the city, we see her put on a burqa to pass through his neighborhood, unsuspected. And when the rains come down while they're sitting there, it drives them from that bench, leaving them again without much luck to find privacy. I mean, these two are constantly looking to celebrate or to have a private moment, which is not happening in Mumbai. And Prabha, who is older and more serious, sees Anu's behavior with both exasperation and affection. Her longings, however, are different, as she lives under the illusion that her husband, who's been absent for years, might return. Even though it looks like she's made peace with herself, she's thrown back into the illusion with the gift. But before I get into the gift, I hope you noticed the opening scene in the hospital, after we go through that opening of the city, in the hospital with the older woman in bed. And they're asking, Prabhu's talking to her, they're talking to her, and she's talking about having seen her husband, if you remember, sitting on a chair opposite her. And she said he had no legs. And then it was as if he was floating there. And she was having a discussion with him. It is something that is only referenced at the beginning for you to hopefully remember at the end in the scene with Prabha and the man. It has to do with the culture of the society itself. But I will get into that. But I just want you to hold that thought if you remember that opening scene in your head. Anyway, the gift. And I will talk extensively about this gift because it is a major symbol within the film. The rice cooker. It arrives unexpectedly at her apartment, a brand new German appliance sent by her estranged husband. He left for Germany shortly after their arranged marriage and has not been in contact since. The gift forces Prabha to confront the ambiguity of their relationship. Is it a potential, it raises questions, and it should raise questions for everybody. Is it a potential peace offering? Is it a sign that he may be returning or wants to rekindle their marriage? Or is it a farewell gift, a callous payoff, a way to definitively end their relationship with a modern foreign object? The design and color of the red rice cooker are not accidental details, intentional choices by the director to contribute to its complex symbolism. It functions as a vessel for Prabha's hopes, anxieties, and societal expectations, reflecting the themes of patriarchy, consumerism, and longing. The specific choice of the rice cooker's deep red color also carries a significant weight. I'm sure many of you know the symbol of marriage and tradition in India, in many parts of India, Red is the color of bridal wear and traditionally symbolizes love, marriage, and fertility. The rice cooker arrives from her husband, and its red hue links it directly to her identity as a wife and the promise of a stable married life, a life that remains frustratingly for her out of reach. The vibrant red color stands out starkly against this muted, often gray and drab tones of Prabha's apartment and the working class life in Mumbai. This contrast emphasizes the object as something special and foreign, like a jewel of hope in a world of muted reality. While red can symbolize love, it also represents danger and unfulfilled desire. The rice cooker is a constant glowing reminder of a passion and family life she yearns for, but has been denied her. Her silent, tearful embrace, and it is a heartbreaking moment when she embraces this machine. Embrace of that appliance transforms this romantic color red into a symbol of painful, repressed longing. The rice cooker's modern, sleek design and German origin is central to its symbolic function. You know, the fascination with the international appliance, if you remember, Anu says how international. This international plot highlights how such objects are marketed as cosmopolitan status symbols in Mumbai that promise a better, more modern lifestyle. The rice cooker represents a step up the social ladder, an aspiration that capitalism sells to women by preying on their domestic insecurities. And its automated high-tech nature, it cooks rice on its own, as they see. It's a cold substitute for genuine human connection and shared experience. It signifies a life of self-sufficiency, but also a profound loneliness. While intended to free women from kitchen drudgery, it also traps them in a cycle of new expectations and quiet solitude. This is all that the director wanted to impart about this machine. For Prabha, the rice cooker's impersonal mechanical design reflects the coldness and detachment of her absent husband. It is a gift that says both, I am thinking of you and I am not with you, making it an object of both longing and resentment. She's left to read a promise of family life into an inanimate object. Through the red rice cooker's color and design, Kapadia, the director, creates a multifaceted symbol that captures the intersection of female identity, capitalist marketing, and patriarchal expectations in this society. The appliance becomes a poignant representation of Prabha's emotional state, where a simple kitchen object embodies her most complex and unresolved feelings. It also highlights the different generational perspectives of Prabha and Anu. You know, she's the Anu, the younger, more modern Anu marvels at it. But for Prabha, the cooker is less a symbol of modernity and more a painful reminder of her stagnant reality. The fact that the rice cooker remains largely unused and it's still in its packaging underscores Prabha's emotional stasis. She is paralyzed by the gift's ambiguity, unable to move forward and truly make a home for herself. Ultimately, the red rice cooker is far more than just a kitchen appliance. It is a cinematic object laden with emotional and cultural weight, perfectly capturing the delicate balance between hope and disappointment that defines Prabha's life. And as it throws her back into her fantasy of a married woman, in that heartbreaking scene when she sinks to the floor, holding it in a wrenching embrace, it is as if it contains every grain of hope of a physical connection, Even to maintaining that illusion of her husband, of being married, and maybe his return in the presence of Dr. Minaj, the doctor that likes her, the doctor that relates to her. Finding himself struggling, Dr. Minaj, finding himself struggling with everything in Mumbai, he shares heartfelt moments with Prabha, but she resists and leaves him hanging when he says he will leave. It's, he's inviting her, come with me, but she resists. And when Parvati, a widow being evicted from her longtime home, here's another symbolic moment in the film, becomes another victim in the way of progress. We see at the beginning not the Mumbai of modernity, the Mumbai of all of that is a Silicon Valley. We see the Mumbai of the real people who slave every day, who work every day. And she has become another victim in the way of progress with that building going up, but also the injustice of living in a world in which women's rights effectively die with their husband in India. And when hurling the rock at the billboard becomes for her a satisfying act of sabotage, in which even Prim Parba joins in the fun, picking up the rocks, which can't dispel the feelings of displacement and precariousness of a migrant life for the working class in the city. Parvati's decision to move back to her village, and she's the one that opens this up, provides the catalyst for the second half of the film. A journey from Mumbai, a city of illusion, where dreams of a better life clash with the reality of poverty and impermanence, to Ratnagiri, a space of truth, as you've seen. The shift from the claustrophobic urban setting of Mumbai to Parvati's coastal village is itself a major part of the film's magical shift, allowing for self-realization. The bustling city is portrayed as this place of illusion, where migrants can get so lost in the daily grind, as we've seen, that they lose touch with their dreams. The sea, by contrast, represents a space of emotional clarity and really raw truth. For Prabha and Anu, the journey to the seaside acts as a mental reset, providing the peace and distance needed to face their problems head on. And what a breathtaking transition as the sun replaces the rain and we hear the rush of the sea in contrast to the chatter of the crowds. Again, sound and cinematography are so important. Prabha finds a new perspective. Seeing Anu with Shiaz now makes Prabha realize what is missing from her own life. Anu and Shiraz, in a hushed, rapturous moment, so beautifully filmed, finds the privacy that eluded them in the city. And we see much of that scene from Anu's perspective. It is really shot tenderly, passionately. It's an interesting moment in the film. And turning from neo-realism, or the neo-realism of this film, to magical realism, after the man is pulled from the sea and the villagers believe he is her husband, in a scene that feels more emotional than literal, she projects her unresolved feelings onto this stranger, allowing her to achieve a catharsis after years of waiting and emotional paralysis. Prabha finally gets to express her anger and disappointment directly to the man representing her husband. He has amnesia. He doesn't know. By telling the husband or this entity that she no longer wants to see him, Prabha releases her final attachments to a past that was holding her back, reconciling desire and reality. By refusing to be a slave to her illusions anymore, she breaks the emotional knot that caused her misery, giving her the ability to regain her autonomy and the courage to decide her own future, independent of the man who did abandon her. The director explains this, and she's explained this in festivals around the world, that women in some cultures are defined by their relationships with men, whether present or absent. The stranger represents Prabha's ghost entity, as she calls it, her ghost entity, the lingering shadow of her husband. Her interaction with this figure, with this man, allows her to have the conversation she was never able to have in real life, a final reckoning with the man who abandoned her. The director explained that by drawing on cultural traditions where the mystical is intertwined with daily life, women use folklore as a means to process trauma and express unspeakable truths. This is in the Indian society, it's in African society, even in certain elements of Chinese, sub-Asian society. In fact, in Indian folk stories, women sometimes imagine their husbands turning into animals or ghosts as a way of coping with their absence. Again, recall the opening scene in the hospital. It's the same thing. She's reflecting back now to what that whole scene means, because you're sitting at the beginning of the film, this woman is chattering on about seeing this vision of her husband, and it goes away. It's like, okay, why was it there? And now we know why it was there at the end of the film. I think it's wonderful how she does this. But it's a way of coping with their absence. This cultural context makes the film's magical scene feel organic rather than just jarring. The moment is not an escape from reality, but a profound psychological event rooted in cultural imagination, in her cultural imagination. In a patriarchal society such as India's, where women's voices are often suppressed, magical realism offers a space for what we call female interiority that exists outside of a male-dominated framework. Men cannot enter this framework. The women's emotional reality becomes the central focus, pushing against the traditional narrative where their stories might be sidelined, That's what makes this film so important, is how much it devotes to these women's stories. Finally, returning to the shore and away from the city's judgment, as Prabha has let go of her trepidations from her forlorn marriage, she also allows Anu to openly embrace her relationship. She now no longer judges her. It is here that Prabha embraces her small world that she somehow failed to recognize amidst the background of the big city. She can forget her husband and gaze over the people in front of her. Parvati, Anu, even the young man at the restaurant, the people in front of her who have now become her family. After all the time she was searching for the light within the narrow streets of Mumbai, Prabha has realized that the light was simply emanating from within herself. She just had to open her arms away from her chest. If you notice, she opens her arms. And by showing that profound moment of connection and resolution can happen even in a quiet seaside village, the film suggests that hope and beauty exist not in grand illusions, not in dreams, but in the small, intimate moments of human connection. And that's what this film represents. Now, production-wise, the cinematography, and I'm sure you noticed this in the Mumbai sequence, the visual style leans towards a gritty, low-key realism, or what we call neorealism, often employing the dim, cool-toned hues to capture Mumbai during the heavy monsoon season. This is a conscious decision by the director to make the city feel wet, humid, and melancholic, reflecting the sense of displacement and alienation felt by the working class migrants. It often has a documentary flavor to it, as we see at the opening sequence, using handheld shots and a neutral gaze to drift through boisterous nighttime crowds and confined interiors. This technique provides a sense of reality and immediacy, allowing us to feel the chaos and the claustrophobia alongside these characters. In the second half, the visual world shifts dramatically as the cool nocturnal blue palette of Mumbai fades into that soft amber blush and that beautiful sunlight by the sea. The camera opens up in that sequence, moving from those narrow, congested frames of the city to wide, expansive shots of the beach and the lush crimson and green landscape of the coastal village. This change underscores the emotional release and the space of truth the women find a way from the city's constraint. The film uses music and sound design not as a grand orchestral score, but as a subtle layer that enhances the feeling of intimacy and the internal world of the women. Connie Kuzruti is the name of the actress who plays Prabha, is an Indian actress predominantly known for her work in what is known as Malayalam cinema, a region of India. She's a theater actress, mainly a theater actress, and she's celebrated for her nuanced, naturalistic performances, often portraying complex, resilient women in independent films. All We Imagine Is Light is her most internationally visible role to date, and I hope we'll see more of her. Divya Prabha, who plays Anu, is an actress primarily also working in Malayalam and Tamil cinema and television. She began her career with smaller roles before transitioning to more substantial parts in both film and television. And the wonderful Chaya Kadam as Parvati is a veteran Indian actress, often portraying strong, grounded working class characters. She started a career on the Marathi stage, is highly regarded for her raw, authentic acting style and powerful screen presence, which she has here, capable of balancing both dramatic intensity and naturalistic humor. Her role in All We Imagine Is Light showcases her ability to instantly command attention and serve as an emotional anchor to the other two women. This film, and I have to tell you, this film, India was going to submit it, and they didn't for the Academy Award. This film was not in contention. Instead, they put up another film, and it is a shame because I think this film deserves a good deal of attention, especially coming from India in the context of Indian cinema. I mean, this is the furthest you get from Bollywood, and it's from Mumbai, and how she uses the city. I mean, this is a totally female centric film. It is the female gaze. This is a director who really has made an effort. Sometimes they call this parallel cinema in India because it's so far different. Yet women in cinema, women in India flock to this film. It did receive a lot of credit in India, but it's still making its way around the world in societies much like India's, and it has been celebrated here by the critics in return. And as I told you before, at the Cannes International Film Festival. So I can only say I hope you enjoyed this film. You got a lot from it, and maybe have questions, I hope, or something that you want to add. So let me open it up for you. And who wants to go first? Who's on first, as I like to say? Okay, anybody? Come on, somebody out there. Jackie, go ahead.
Well, I actually have a comment and a question, but you may have answered my question. I'm not sure. Well, I'll ask and then everybody can see so I absolutely loved the boy at the end in the restaurant. I thought it summed everything up. And at first, to be honest with you, I didn't even see him doing that. And Larry said, look at the kid behind her. Look at the kid behind her. And it was like total freedom. And I absolutely love that. So for me, that made the movie. But the one question that just kind of kept hitting me is, okay, so it was not her husband. If it wasn't her husband, did she imagine that he called her by her proper name? I got confused there with that. So
this was her it was her imagination. This was a moment where, like the woman at the beginning, who imagined she saw her husband without legs floating in midair. This is the same kind of thing. It gave her the ability to address everything she was feeling. Because he had amnesia, and it's also the power of suggestion, because the woman asked her, "Is this your husband?" And right away, it sets up in her mind what's about to happen. It gave her the freedom, being in this place, having this happen. because why would a husband wash up on shore? I mean, he's away in Germany. I mean, whereas people, and believe me, people did ask in other in screenings that I've had of the film, people did, well, was that a husband? No, it wasn't a husband. She's imagining it was a real man. It was a real man, but she turns the man into the ghost entity of her husband. He's just lying there. May not even be saying a word. But the only thing he says is, who am I? He's questioning who he is. And then he becomes her husband. He becomes her husband for the moment. And it gives us a means of seeing her open up, and getting it all out. Something she couldn't do when she embraced the rice cooker. It's now she's free. She's free to see it. I mean, it really freed her up as an individual, making her realize who she is and her importance and her identity in the world. So I thought it's an incredible scene. Yeah.
I was right with you on every bit of it until he said her name, and then it's like, wait a minute, have I
Yeah.
missed something? So
No.
that was what kicked me. Okay.
Yeah. Terrific. I'm glad. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. Okay, Nancy, and Bobby, you come next. Nancy.
I thought this film was so delicious. It captured so much. First of all, the fact that I don't really want to go to Mumbai, but the music when she's alone in the hospital at the desk and that piano music oh my God, it blew me away. And those couple of times when that appeared, I don't know exactly what that music, I mean, I've only seen the movie, I saw it before, but I don't remember it. I don't know what exactly that was supposed to portray, but I loved it, and it gave life to the scene. I mean, there was so much that was dour, and it just brought life and cheer into that scene. And the she's conducting it is it
Yes.
was absolutely divine. And then the sound throughout the entire film, but that beginning sound I thought was sensational. Oh, and the cinematography was incredibly fabulous. I mean, it was a sensational film. End report. Loved it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and
Tell me about the
I hope.
music.
Well, the music is supposed to represent the interiority of who they are. It's Anu. Anu is I mean, she's a loving person. She's in love with with Shiraz. And we see in her personality who she is when the woman comes to her and she's giving her the birth control.
Right, right.
She's taking the responsibility. I mean, it also, we perceive her as a modern young girl, young woman, and which sets her off from Prabha.
Right.
She's now young enough to have a different kind of experience in the city. Even in fact, that she's not Muslim, and he is. And it is an opening up. Again, it's a statement. It's almost a political statement in India, because the Muslims are persecuted in the country. So
Mhm.
it's part of that. But music is an interior thing, and that's why she's doing that. It's her music. It's her music. It's what she's hearing. And it's terrific.
Fine.
Thank you. Thank you. Bobby, you gotta unmute, Bobby. I think we lost her for the moment.
Well, she had her camera on earlier too, and I
Yeah,
don't
now
see her on camera
yeah,
either.
yeah. All right, when she comes back in, we'll grab her. Who else has something they'd like to add? Sandra, you're quiet.
Part of it is I saw the film, I watched it twice because the first time I either was sleeping or I just missed a lot of it. Um, but there were a couple of things that I found interesting. Um, One that though when they thought it was her husband, they thought it was her husband because that's they had to. You wouldn't have a strange man that you gave mouth to mouth resuscitation to.
Right.
So there's some very obvious things. I found it interesting. I never really connected personally with the three of them. And I think part of that is my lack of appreciation for some of the things you talked about in terms of while I agreed with everything you said, I didn't automatically think that way. I didn't
Mhm.
think I know it's a patriarchal society. I know that the Bollywood is much more of an Indian reference for people. I know I found it interesting that she put in the birth control thing. I think there were very clear things that I particularly noticed the second time around. But for me, it was not an obvious film. It was not something that I automatically um, paid attention to. I normally the cinematography was fine and all of that, but the story itself, I found I didn't connect with the story as I
Mhm.
normally do. And I think part of it is until you started to talk about some of the things, I didn't really make the connections. I thought about women's asserting themselves and understanding themselves, but and the ending too, I found very um it didn't sort of fit in with my picture of where it would go.
Uh-huh.
And I'm
Uh-huh.
not sure where I thought it would go, but because I had no preconceived notion. But that was not what I saw as an ending.
Uh-huh. Well,
Because,
it's not an ending. It's not
well,
an
I guess
ending.
that's true. It's
Yeah,
not an
yeah.
ending.
Not
But
an
I
ending.
didn't see it as a statement in the at the end.
It is it's a very I guess subdued statement. It's because these are not, first of all, they can't be overt in her feelings. It's an opening up. She's beginning to come back. She's beginning to realize who she is. Now you have to remember again, culturally, these women are married off very young, or Prabha's generation at least, are married off very young. And here she had a husband that left probably days after they got married. He went off to Germany. So here she was left alone, and she's a smart woman. I mean, she became a nurse in the hospital. It's also, this is a story of India. This is definitely a story of India, but it's a story of India we're not used to seeing.
That's exactly right. And I think that was my problem with the film, that the India that I know about, even the more um, ordinary India, is a much richer group of people.
Mm,
It's a much more. This was a group of really ordinary people, and
yes.
uh, and I think that that's where my lack was. It's not in the movie as much as it is in me,
But
in
and
what
and you
and my ability to access it because it was and why I'm glad I saw it twice,
uh,
and I'm glad I had someone that could talk about it because it really teaches me something. I mean, I really would not have made some of the connections you made.
mhm, mhm. Well, this is, to me, this is it's a quite it's a universal statement. It is the song of the common woman in this particular case. It is the plight of many women in societies around the world. Even in cases here, I guess, based on their cultural traditions. And I think it's expressive in that way. I think it's an important film in making us realize these are people I have nothing in common with, yet emotionally they strike a chord. They strike a chord because they're people, because they're human, because we have to realize that there are millions of these people running around doing this, and nobody sees them. Nobody sees them. Nobody realizes that they too have dreams, that they exist that way, and they came to Mumbai in this for this particular reason, and those dreams don't exist in that city for
I
them.
lost it.
Yeah, yeah.
But that you raise a very important point. It's a reason to go to movies.
Without
No, I'm
question.
really serious because my access, and I read about India and I know about the religions, but I just would, this is a film that if I hadn't had someone that was going to talk about it, I don't know that I would have bothered a second time. And
Uh-huh.
I specifically wanted to see it again because you had to have a reason to show the film.
Yes,
You know what I
I
mean?
think, yeah.
And I think I think you just, you did a very good job in answering the questions.
Well, thank you. But I think, this is why, my primary rule is to see a film twice, because now, with what I've armed you with, if you go back and you look at it again, it becomes something entirely different for you. It
Oh,
becomes a different experience. I could sit through these movies over and over and over again, which I do. And I always see something different each time I see them, because my focus can change. And I think that all of you should have that, have that ability as well. And I think it's great to be able to do that. So, but thank you, Sandra. Okay, Bobby, go ahead.
All right, am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I watched it, and until we got to the end of it, I kind of knew what was happening. Um, I understood, there was somebody said sort of in the beginning, it was in the talk that was going on about, oh, much better to be in Mumbai because we can eat and we can make money than be in the
Right.
country. And I think that was just among the chatter that was going on when they were
Mhm.
on the train and riding wherever they were.
Yes.
And then I remember they had at the when they were in the country when they were dancing. And I remember when we were talking about the movies about how all the Indian movies had to have dancing because the people went and it was a whole daily this one wasn't, but how most of the movies in times before it was an all-day experience. And they had to have the dancing in it, and that came to my mind. And I
Uh-huh.
also remembered from a book I had read that when they built these wonderful buildings, the workers lived on, rather than go home, they lived on the floor that they were building. In other
Mhm.
words, they were on the first floor, they lived on the first floor. When they lived on the 10th floor, they were living on the 10th floor. This was how the workers that were building the building, how they lived. I mean, it's completely different from what we would, a society that we're used to. But yet the emotions we're human, and the emotions are similar, uh, you know, among human beings. Thank you for explaining the end of it because I really that I did not get. Now I get
Okay.
it. Now I get it.
Good. Good, good. I'm glad. Thank you, thank you. But yeah, I mean, you said it right. I mean, this is the place, where we're seeing everything get stripped away from what we know about India, what we've seen in Indian film, and especially the fact that you brought up that point about the buildings and how the construction workers live in the building as it's going up, but also up until recent times, these skyscrapers went up. There was still derelict buildings, little shacks on the street down the block, and they would still live in those shacks. Like Parvati is saying, she was dispossessed. That's what happens. Is they're all getting dispossessed. They're getting sidelined in the city because it's moving fast. It's moving quickly. So thank you, Bobby. Louise?
Yeah, I just loved it. I've been to Mumbai and it had so much of that character, but it also, for me, it just expressed human longing so beautifully. Just every situation, somebody was longing for more, for connection, for love, for it. I just loved it. That's all I can tell you. I mean, all the things that you said, but the whole pervasive feeling of longing and was just so beautiful.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you. Jackie, by the way, what you said about the young man is terrific. I'm glad, you did bring that up because he's the only, we do focus on him at some point because he's so genuine. He's so open. He's so polite. He's totally antithetical to everyone back at that city. It's why the doctor leaves the city. She doesn't want us to feel like every man behaves the same way. Is basically what's happening here. He offers a certain amount of hope as well. So I'm glad you brought that up. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add?
I have one
Anybody?
question.
Oh, sure.
The recordings, I want to be here next time, but I can't. So I'm wondering if the recordings are available to see.
Sure. They're up on YouTube.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Well, and you can go to sterlingfriends.org and they're on that too. You'll see
that's
the big
right. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll see the picture of Shelley and all that. There's all of them are up there in case you missed some of the other ones, Louise.
Oh, that's terrific. Thank you.
Yeah, just scroll down the page and you'll see all the recordings. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Anybody else have any feelings? Anything they want to add? Barbara?
I don't have anything to add, really, but I just wanted to say I just genuinely loved it. I related to the people. I felt that we could all relate to them. The romance between the difference of religions, which was just going to blow up sooner or later, and the woman. I loved them all. I did.
That's terrific. This is a film. I mean, this is a very visual film. A lot of the language in the film is visual, as I like to say, and I highly recommend. I've seen a few films in the last couple of weeks that I want to recommend to you that are also use visual language beautifully. They require little in the way of dialogue. They're so beautiful to look at, yet the story's there. If you have Netflix, I highly recommend you see Train Dreams. It's entitled Train Dreams. Train, yeah, Train Dreams.
Yeah.
It's got an incredible central performance, but it is a remarkably beautiful film and story. And another one that was also very visual, but it is, in a sense, we know some of the history of it, is Hamnet, 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 which is a telling of Shakespeare before he became the Shakespeare that we know. It's beautifully told, again, visually stunning, and it's how he came to write Hamlet. It was a best-selling novel a couple of years ago, and it was adapted from the novel. But she changes it up a little. It's the same director, Rosalind Chow, who did Nomadland several years ago. Same director, so a very visual film. And I put it in this category because these are all visual films that tell wonderful stories. That take us into a world that we don't know about, and I think that's what's beautiful about them. I mean, it really takes us back to 17th century, 16th and 17th century England in one, and the beginning of the 20th century out west is really beautifully portrayed in this film in Train Dreams. So I highly recommend those films, and I see this trend in filmmaking, which I really am enjoying. Sandra, do you have something you wanted to say?
If we can switch gears a minute, I happened to the film we saw, Rise. I went to see the choreographer's company. In Brooklyn, and I have to tell you, it was a true gift. And one of the things I would recommend to you, if you recommend that film to anyone, that you really make note of that particular choreographer, because he is changing the way modern dance is being presented. And if I tell you that the production that we saw was, I mean, I've been going to dance since I'm 7 years old. I've been involved in the dance world. It is actually where modern dance is headed in some ways. It's getting very interactive with an audience. And I saw it in a theater with 800 people. And at one point, it was a 90-minute performance, and there was no intermission. And at one point, about two-thirds in, one of the dancers throws up his hands and he goes, "New York, where are you?" And there must have been lots of people who knew about what the company wanted. And we all, a lot of us got up and went on the stage. We danced with the dancers. And then at one point, another dancer said, "Okay, go back to your seats." And they continued. And this seems to be a very popular the choreographic insert into many new productions. So I mean, it's where it's where a movie can take you, is really what I'm saying. It really has. It was probably the best dance film I've ever seen.
Yeah,
That's true. That's terrific. Yeah, I mean, it is. You've hit it on the head. I mean, he is that kind of choreographer. There was, I don't know if you read the interview with him in the New York Times about a month or so ago when he was bringing the show to New York, and he talked about that. He said, "It's not just dance. We're not talking about just dance. We're talking about a combining all the arts in one."
And a community. He creates a
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a fabulous. He's an interesting human being, and a fascinating choreographer. And it's. I've been, and I have been telling people. I mean, that's part of what that film is all about, Rise. So I'm glad you feel. I'm glad you did say that. But
Well,
yeah, Bobby.
well, I have a senior group here in Massachusetts at the Temple, and we're seeing it next. We're going to be seeing it next month.
Oh,
Ah,
terrific,
Yeah, yeah,
terrific.
yeah, yeah.
Good,
But I
good.
told them that they have to put in French movie Rise to get the right one on Prime.
encore.
Yes, yes. Encore,
Yeah,
encore.
yeah,
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 have to look
to
for
get it on
that.
Prime. Yep.
Yeah, terrific, terrific. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add before I get into the film you'll see in 2 weeks? Okay, well, in 2 weeks, I welcome you to come back for the concert. The concert, a wonderful film, an entertaining film, a poignant film, a film with a lot of stories circling around it, and it's high humor. It has wonderful characters. Essentially, it's the story of a conductor who 30 years before he was conducting the Bolshoi Orchestra and was fired for hiring Jewish musicians,
Oh,
back in Russia and back in the 60s. And now he's a cleaning guy. He's been reduced to, rather than his gulag is cleaning the offices. And by accident, he discovers that the Bolshoi is to appear in Paris and intercepts the message and decides to gather up his old friends and pretend to be the Bolshoi Orchestra and bring their talents to France for a special performance. And there is a young girl involved, a violinist whose story comes into it. The music is extraordinary. The acting is wonderful. The set design, I mean, the whole production is just terrific. It's a terrific director who has done a few films. Another film of his will be appearing on this stage soon. And he his name is Mileniahu, and he's Romanian. And he did a wonderful film some years ago called Live and Become, set in Israel. A remarkable story of an Ethiopian boy who winds up in Israel and his story. But this director is just terrific. I've followed his work, and I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. It's my end of year gift to you as I look at it. So I will look. Yes, Barbara, I you got on mute.
I missed the name of the movie. I had
The concert. The
the
concert.
concert. Thank you.
Yeah. Bobby, do you have something you want to add?
Yes, Shelley. How many years ago did I see it in your class? And it's still one of my
Uh,
favorites of all time.
yes, yes,
Very
I
happy to see
know.
it again.
There you have proof positive.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bobby. I'll take any endorsement I can get.
Yep. Okay.
All right. So I think, yes, Larry?
I just wanted to thank you. You've added to my life.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. I
Where,
truly
where,
appreciate that.
where can we see this?
It's on Kanopy. Where else is it? That's a good
I,
question. I think it's
Wow.
available. It should be available on Amazon. I'm not sure.
While
Um,
Shelley is looking for that, you guys, that's on the 18th. So if you haven't
yes.
registered, it's on December
Yeah.
18th.
Okay, let's see if we can. Okay, is it on Prime? I don't know if it's still on Prime. I know it's on Canopy. I think it's also on Hoopla. Let me just check for you. Hold on one second. Here we go. Okay.
Shelley, you make
Definitely
such a good
on
waiter
Canopy.
with that. Let me check for you.
Okay,
You say that so nicely.
here we go. The concert. All right. Okay, it is Canopy, Hoopla, Plex. If you can get Plex, it's on Plex. It's also free on Plex. That's a streaming service you can download to your TV or your computer and watch the film. PLEX. The film is leaving Canopy in 25 days. Hurry up. This is one of the problems I've been facing with Canopy is there's some of their films drop off. So that's why I don't like to go too far in advance with them. But I know it'll be available. So I hope you all enjoy it, and I will look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks. Be well, and thank you. Thank you. Great discussion.